Can I tell you guys a secret? I hardly ever make art anymore. I call myself an illustrator and a graphic designer, and while at the graphic design territory I'm doing alright, I feel like my illustrative works and artistic skills hasn't really been improving for the last couple years now. Every year I do this little New Year's resolution kind of thing in January, claiming that this year is going to be my year. It's going to be the year where I max out my art skills, get to the absolute top of my game, and kickstart my career as a freelance illustrator superstar. Then you blink twice, the year goes by, and in late December you look back how you spent the time, and all you can feel is how your half-empty sketchbooks and untouched art supplies are quietly but surely judging you. Does any of that sound familiar? We all have been there, so I thought, you know what, this year, let's do something about it. Hey you guys, welcome back to our channel, the #1 place for people who love design, art and all things creative. You are watching Dantier and Balogh's channel, my name is Laz Here, and in this video I want to talk about how to get back into creating if you have stopped for whatever reason, how to rediscover your art, and how to get inspired to create again. I feel like we talk about design and generic creative advice on this channel all the time, and somewhere along the lines I neglected talking about art. And now you know why. It's because I genuinely neglected art in my personal life for the last year or so. So I thought I would share with you guys 3 tips, 3 little things that I am planning to incorporate into my creative practice this year in order to find my artistic voice again. Just so by the end of this year I don't have to look back and feel guilty about all the half-empty sketchbooks. Okay, let's get straight into it. What is the biggest obstacle that stops us from making art? Time. We don't have any. We are all too busy, or to be a bit more accurate, we are not willing to make time for art. We let the days, weeks, sometimes months go by, thinking that yeah, maybe next weekend I'm going to get my watercolors out or my graphics tablet, and when it's actually finally Saturday and you would have the time for it, you decide that actually, you know what, I deserve a rest, so let's just put Netflix on and just chill for the rest of the day. And so the time goes by and your skills remain unchallenged, just so when the odd occasion comes and you do sit down to create something, you feel like you have lost your abilities. And that is a massive problem by itself. Art is not like riding a bike, it's more like learning a language. If you don't practice and use your skills on the regular, you will get rustier and rustier as time goes by. So what can we do about it? Well, first of all, I think we all have more time on our hands than we think. Does your phone do this thing? You know how it sends you a notification giving you like a full breakdown how much time you have spent on certain apps during the week on average. Isn't that just the meanest, worst invention ever? Every Sunday I have to face how much time I have spent on social media, you know, scrolling those endless scrolls. That's all time I could have spent better working on my portfolio. Secondly, I think we should change our mindsets in regards to how we think about time. I think the lack of time should be introduced to our lives as a challenge rather than an obstacle in our way. Do you guys know Jack White, the musician from White Stripes? I'm a big fan of his work, and apparently within his circles he's quite famous for having this insane work ethic that I really respect. He records whole albums in the fraction of the time most musical acts would do. He talks about that in quite a lot of interviews, how he very consciously doesn't make things easy for himself when it comes to his work and his music. In the documentary Under the Great Wide Northern Lights, he says having all the opportunity and time in the world kills creativity. Deadlines and restrictions force you to work harder as well as smarter. I mean, you hear it everywhere. I know this is the advice that no one wants to hear, which is precisely why that is the best advice. You just have to sit down and do the work. I think a lot of people have this misconception that creativity is like, you know, it's like fairy dust, an unattainable unicorn, and you just have to wait around, go for a relaxing bath, and wait until the stars align so you get this one amazing idea that's going to be like a game changer for your creative career. And you know, if you're just a hobbyist, by all means wait, but if you want to make a career out of your creative skills, you can't afford to waste time just sitting around. You need to force yourself and work your way to the top by doing hours and hours of weak and mediocre work. Unfortunately. Okay, the second thing I'm going to try this year is to copy more artists. Like straight up copying. Apparently, our chosen YouTube design god, Mr. Chris Doe, makes his student do this exercise of creating a master copy of a piece of work that they really like. You can learn an awful lot by copying other artists, it just makes sense, right? Now I hope it goes without saying that you should never, ever plagiarize. And if you listen to me and do this exercise, I wouldn't even post it on social media, just so you avoid even the suspicion of being a fraud. I mean, that is exactly why I never actually sat down and straight up copied another artist's work before. I mean, even the thought of it just makes me feel a little dirty. But I see the value in that. I mean, ask anyone who plays an instrument what was the first couple songs they have learned to play. I reckon 9 out of 10 times they're gonna say something like, oh, you know, just the classics, you know, songs by the Beatles, the Rolling Stones, Smoke on the Water by the Deep Purple. You wouldn't expect them to say, oh, you know, I touched the guitar on my day one and I wrote this amazing song. No one does that, except Mozart. So I'm planning to copy someone and I see where that takes me. That being said, I think mindlessly duplicating someone else's work won't teach you much if you don't understand the original creative ideas and decisions which has led to the final piece. Now, the amazing thing about living in this day and age is your heroes, the people you look up to, probably have social media accounts and they are probably quite active on them. That's the place where you can learn about their process, see their drafts and journeys, and generally speaking, just get a sense of what kind of people they are. You have the option to contact them if you like. You can send them a direct message or leave a thoughtful comment under their posts, and chances are they will actually see it and respond. Now obviously, if you choose some absolute superstar of your field, they might be a bit too busy to answer your questions. Like, I don't think Stephen King would be down to do a one-on-one writing session with you. But you know what I mean. I have messaged countless illustrators and designers in the past, and more often than not they do actually take the time to answer a genuine, thoughtful message. Just be kind and respectful. That always helps. Okay, and my third tip is to try doing something new every time, something you have never done before within your art. I'm especially talking about your subject matter here. Surprise yourself and you will surprise your audience as well. I know, it sounds like contradictory advice just after we discussed straight up copying other people. But you know what they say about, you know, the rules and, you know, you have to break them, or no, you have to learn them before you know what I mean. Once you know the rules, break them. Back when I was studying illustration, I had this first year lecturer back at university. He told me about this story of how he, in his earlier days, used to work for this video game design studio as a resident artist. Don't ask me which one, doesn't matter. Anyway, the studio was doing well, it was quite famous, so young artists like ourselves would send their portfolios in for reviews, right? In the hopes of getting jobs there as, you know, concept artists or illustrators, that kind of thing. Now, apparently, most of these student portfolios were so similar that they have basically turned the whole portfolio review sessions into an actual drinking game. Like every time they would saw an illustration of a dwarf with a big hammer, they would do a shot. Every time they saw Studio Ghibli fan art, take a shot. Female warrior with a big sword and metal brow on, shot. You get the point, right? Inspiration doesn't come from pets that have been discovered millions of times before. Of course, I'm not saying that there are certain things that you shouldn't draw. You do anything it takes you to get back into creating. But don't be afraid to explore new, seemingly untapped territories within your art. Instead of drawing pretty girls, draw someone ugly. Why not? Yeah, the dwarf with the big hammer is old news, but what if the dwarf was like, you know, maybe Africa inspired and he would have like a huge afro instead of the usual long braided Viking style hair? That would be quite a cool drawing actually. You know what, you can catch me up on this. If I don't have the afro dwarf as a drawing in my portfolio by the end of this year, then I have failed my own test. Some people say that there is nothing left in this world to discover, that there are no new stories or ideas really, and I do see some truth in that. But telling a familiar story from your own unique perspective, that's new to me. No one else in the world can make the art you can, quite simply because no one else is you. This idea by itself gets me inspired. There is a whole world of possibilities within you. All you have to do is believe in yourself, show up, do the work, and let the creative magic out for the world to see. Okay? How's that for motivation? I hope you find some inspiration in this video. Feel free to let me know what other simple tips you would include in a list like this down below. And if you enjoyed this video, please give it a big thumbs up, because by doing that you really do support our channel and we do appreciate that an awful lot. And while you are here, join our design tribe so you don't miss out on the upcoming content. We make videos about art, interior design, architecture, illustration, graphic design, all that amazing stuff. So if any of that interests you, follow along. Take care guys, and I'll see you this time next week with another video. Bye!